In the West, it'd be like, what? What are you talking about? I got craters or something? Why are you calling me the moon? Right? But in Middle Eastern culture, they say you're beautiful. Beauty is, the height of beauty is in the moon. This is something that the Arabs see. So when he sees the moon, he says, oh, this is my Lord. It's bright and beautiful and just radiating light. So he's getting a sense, oh, this is what my Lord should be like, right? Something radiating light, full of light and just beautiful. Which is a partial truth, because then the moon begins also to set. And he says, he says, if my Lord does not guide me, then I will indeed be of those who go astray. So in this whole process, he's asking God to guide him, to him. So he sees in the morning, must have been a long night for Abraham, peace be upon him, but a very, I would say, exhilarating night once he comes to his discovery at the end. Because, yes, he is a prophet, but you can see here there is a rational moment of epiphany that comes about, too, in this Quranic narrative, right? So the sun comes up, right? And so, of course, there have been a lot of sun cults in human history. So the sun, and religions based on the sun. The sun comes up, oh, it's bright and giving off heat and light and everything. And he said, this is my Lord. It's the biggest one of all of them. So now he has the idea, okay, light, greatness, beauty, but then it fades. So then he comes to that, I don't know if you would call this inductive or deductive logic, but it's one or the other. I have to go back and look at the definitions for both. He says, after all of that, he said, إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ حَنِيفًا وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. All of you, of course, are masters of the Arabic language, so we will move on. No, just kidding. Okay, so he said, I have directed my face, and the face is the whole person, actually. When you say the face, that is the self. It's all there in the face, actually. So he said, I have directed my face to whoever has incepted all of these natural phenomena that are either big or beautiful or inspire fear or inspire love. All of these things, whoever has put them into the reality, he said, I turn my face to him. Even if I cannot see him, I see what he has done. So I turn my face to whoever is behind all of this, right? He said, وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِي الَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاءِ, the one who has incepted all of the heavens and the earth. I am purely dedicated to him alone. That is the Abrahamic monotheism that is referred to throughout the Quran, which is a pure, absolute sort of monotheism that also as Muslims we find as essential to our faith tradition as well. He said, purely for him, and I am not of those who ascribe partners to God, right? To Allah. So this is the idea of knowing, right? Because a lot of times in a multi-religious society, we get into debates between religions. They say, oh, that's your belief, and that's your belief. That's just because you grew up that way. But actually, the argument of Islam is saying, no, any human being can come to this knowledge. And we already talked about the idea about no compulsion. In terms of the experience, whenever there's a person who becomes a Muslim, all the other Muslims, they get so excited, they say, so how did you become a Muslim? And when you hear those stories, you'll find there are so many different experiences that people have. And it's sometimes the most bizarre things, you know. From, I just opened this and I read this verse and then it just all made sense to me. It's like, okay, I don't know, that worked for you, but this other person, this happened or this happened. So there is also room for that inner world to come to a sense of understanding. But always as Muslims, we always check the inner against the revelation, so that we do not, go astray. Because the revelation is seen, especially in its pristine understanding, is seen as the ultimate check on what we may perceive intuitively. I think this is the right or not. Right? So, any questions about this part of the testimony? Yes. If you guys don't ask questions, I will ask you guys questions. I'll put you on the spot. No? Yes? Yes, sir. Be the spokesman for the rest of them. Yes. There you go.
Just to make sure I understand how this fits. These are components of the testimony or requirements?
These are not components, nor are they requirements. I'm just trying to dissect the inner path that is common for most people. So, like a sheikh or a scholar or imam is not going to come to the person and say, okay, did you come to this through intellectual knowledge and through intuitive knowledge and through experiential knowledge? He won't do that. He just say, okay, are you comfortable? You have any questions? All right, go ahead. Ashhadu, la ilaha illallah. Okay, your path begins. So sometimes it's quite that literal, but usually we try to do a little bit more support, but sometimes it's just like that. Yeah.
And so sometimes then it's not articulated or it's difficult to articulate.
So yes, that all of this, what I just said, yes. But in terms of the actual words, those must be articulated and professed. If a person is for some reason in fear that if he says this that he will be persecuted or something like this, sometimes a person just between them and Allah, they can say it. But most of the time it is a public declaration. So it's between them and God, but usually what happens is they come in front of the community. And when I was in high school, I went to the Hyde Park Baptist Church, and I got really scared because this is the first time I seen one of those big dunk tanks behind the glass. I was like, what are they going to do? They're going to throw the Muslims in there, and sharks will come and eat them? Of course, that's not what they do. But it's a very public thing, but it's also a personal moment for that person. So this is the same thing for shahada, except the washing part is, in their own privacy they do for themselves. But in terms of in front of the rest of the community, he stands up, or she would stand up and make the testimony of faith, either in a mosque or in a home. Or again, if there's some reason why they don't want it to be publicly known, they might just say it to themselves, between them and God as well. So, all right. Well, this is, I think, about the time that we will break. We'll talk about maybe after Isha. Isha is the night prayer. So again, I sincerely apologize. The plan was while we go to pray that the food would be here. So I apologize for that. You will have a chance to actually come and see the prayer in the class we do about the prayer itself. And so that will be the formal time we can come along and see that. But please bear with us, and the food will be on its way. And we'll be starting in about 15 minutes. Thank you for your time. Good evening, and once again, I begin with the praises for God, and the peace and blessings be upon all of His prophets and messengers. I received a question of why was the prayer later this time? So the prayers, as we'll see in the class, not next week, but the week after, they go with the movements of the sun. So the first prayer is when the first light before sunrise, so like an hour and a half before sunrise. Next prayer is the highest point, when the sun reaches the highest point. Then when it begins to decline, then sunset. And then when you look in the west, then all of the light is gone. So of course, seasonally, those times will change each day. It's getting later and later. Once we get to spring forward, daylight savings, then it'll be even later, 1 more hour later. Yes, yeah. Yes, that's correct. It'll be after this class. That especially becomes more important in Ramadan, because we fast from the first prayer from the dawn prayer till the sunset prayer. So when we're fasting in the summertime, something like 16-hour days sometimes. And when we're fasting in the wintertime, we're like, yes. It's like just 12 hours of skipping lunch, and it's not hot. So, but again, those are kind of like previews for some of the future classes. So I will go ahead and continue on. And please hope that you will enjoy the food or continue to get the food. It's no problem. But just in the interest in honoring your time as well, I will officially end by 8:30. Of course, if there are people who want to stay behind to ask questions, that's fine. But moving on, we've been talking about the shahada. And so far we covered 2 words, which is I testify. So now we come to the next 2 words, which is I testify that La ilaha. La ilaha. This is the part that we said is the in-your-face statement.